Those wouldn't even ignite, dude. Those wouldn't even ignite. That's the best way to test DNP. Light a cap on fire, it'll flame up.
Big Swole Hibbs asks, what's the most DNP you've used in a day and how many days did you use that? But there's another question also by Deltzilla, which I wanted to ask, the last one, which is because he asked last week too, and I forgot, not forgot, but we didn't get to it. He said, thoughts on coaches like AJ Sims using extremely high amounts of multiple AIs going into a show? Seems like overkill.
It's overkill, 100%. His guys come in flat. AJ's guys come in flat. They're shredded but flat. There's a point of no return. So AJ, what he does is he even pulls testosterone on some guys. He'll lower testosterone, he'll pull testosterone, and then he adds Arimidex and Letrozole, and he'll do Arimidex and Aromasin. I think he learned that from Matt Porter, because Matt Porter used to do Arimidex and Aromasin. I know a few coaches that do that, and their guys come in flat. So if you have a black guy that doesn't really flatten out, it'll work amazing for them. But you got to watch out for certain individuals. When you crush their estrogen too much and you overkill it by pulling their test, yeah, that's a bad thing. But if you're on like a gamma test, which like Hani Brambod, Chad Nichols, they have their guys run a gram to a gram and a half a test into the show. Like for instance, Chad Nichols has his guys do 400 mgs a test every other day, which what does that come out to? 1,000,
Yeah.
about 1,500 mgs a week. Hani has his guys do like 1,000 mgs a test sip all the way into the show, and they'll crush the estrogen. But I never seen Hani and Chad mix anti-estrogens. What they do is they'll smash them with like a high Arimidex or Letrozole, and they'll use Nolvadex.
Okay? Yeah, there's no real scientific reason, unless basically just to be scientific about it. If you were to use letrozole is always in all studies, including studies for fertility for men, the most effective aromatase inhibitor. It's also for women for breast cancer. So if you really want to kill your estradiol, you just need to use that letrozole. You don't need multiple. Why would you use multiple, or you switch between them? Is if letrozole, just for the guys to learn about like medicine or drugs, it's if you had enzymes in your liver, they're called CYP enzymes. Each of these, usually CYP enzymes digest the different drugs, but different ones are used for different drugs. Each of us have different polymorphisms that are CYP enzymes. So some of us have a very fast one and another one that's very slow. If you take a drug that is dealing with your very fast enzyme, you'll need a higher dose of that drug. And so it'll damage your liver. I mean, it could potentially damage your liver more or less. It depends. Like, for example, I'm a fast metabolizer. So I've been very lucky in my lifetime. Like, I haven't damaged my liver so much from the alcohol and these kind of things that I did, because I'm a fast metabolizer and I have high glutathione amounts. But anyway, so if you're using one that you're a slow metabolizer with, you use a slower amount of the drug, but you also get more side effects. So that's why you would switch between drugs, or if you didn't know your polymorphisms, you might use more than one. But in that letrozole's case, it's always the most effective. Don't you agree, Boston, in real life?
I do Arimidex or Aromasin the whole prep. Then the last 4 weeks, I remove the Arimidex or Aromasin, and I use Letrozole. 6 weeks out, I add in Nolvadex at 20 mgs, and I slowly bring that up. That gets them dry as a bone.
Yeah, I agree. So about the DNP, what was the most you used?
Most DNP I've ever used. The most DNP I've ever used. I tried 600 mgs of Denitro. Denitro was the best DNP source ever. He ended up retiring. Everyone went to him. All the pros know. Everyone watches this show will know who that is. He actually used to live in the town I used to live in. He retired, and nobody's DNP can match this guy. I tolerated his DNP at 600 mgs for like 1 or 2 days. But when I ran it for my show, I did 200 mgs for the first week. Then I did 400 mgs for like 5 days, and I'm like, fuck, this is too much. And then I went back down to 200 mgs for a total duration of 21 days. For my clients that I recommend DNP in the beginning, only some of them, like for instance, I'm training a guy right now. He's like already ready. So there's no need for any T3. He is on no clen. He's on no cardio. Everyone's body is different. But for the majority of people in prep, they come to me a little chunky. Not chunky, but like, 12% body fat. And I use DNP and optional. I don't fucking force that shit on anyone. I say it's optional. 200 mgs for the first 21 days.
Can I ask you, how does whatever the best source of DNP on the form right now compare to that one you were talking about, like in milligram per milligram?
Good, but it's not as good because the guy Denitro used to add antioxidants to his pills, so there was no side effects. Like there was no DNP nausea. you felt better on it. It was
if you needed antioxidants, what I would recommend is using the stack that I just recommended, which is what I use for my own pills. So take 1 gram of vitamin C, just for the audience to know. When you're taking a pill that you think is going to be oxidizing, I would take 1 gram of vitamin C, because you're taking things that are not digested they're not lipophilic. So these you can take without food. So you can take 1 gram of vitamin C, 3 grams of EPA, 1 gram of NEC, 1 gram of TUDCA, a gram or 600 milligrams of alpha lipoic acid, and maybe 1 gram of glycine too for the synthesis of glutathione. And that's it. That's enough. That's a lot of free radical scavengers. I doubt he could do more.
Most people don't do that. So that guy adding that into the pill was great. You know what I mean? And he didn't add that much. It was only a few little.
Yeah, this would be way more. So this would protect you more.
Where some people cramp on DNP, they lose their electrolytes. These guys didn't get the effects, but everyone knows who Denitro is. But the best guy on my forum is I can say the name because nobody will look at him. Is Oxytech. His email starts with Magnum. Oxytech. He's the other best one. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel like when you take 100 milligrams a day, do you get in a bad mood at all or no?
100 mg of DNP?
Yeah. Is that enough to get you in a slight off mood, or can you work perfectly fine on 100?
No, 100 mgs, I wouldn't even feel it at this point. My first DNP run, I would, but 100 mgs, I wouldn't even probably feel much now.
Because I've used DNP before for about that amount of time, about 30 days or 25 days once. And I did use higher doses, like 3. It was Tony Huge's stuff. So it got, I don't know how real it was. So it got to 400 milligrams, which I guess
not the pellets. We're using the pellets?
Yeah.
Those were garbage, dude. Those were garbage.
Yeah, they were the pellets.
Garbage.
Well, they worked. I did get hot, but I don't know if they were.
How much were you taking?
A lot, like that's what I'm saying. So like 400 milligrams or something like that. So I now that you're telling me you could only take 600, I'm thinking no, wait a minute, that thing couldn't have been really dosed.
Those wouldn't even ignite, dude. Those wouldn't even ignite. That's the best way to test DNP. Light a cap on fire, it'll flame up.
So serious. Did you actually try it with the Tony Hughes one, or someone else did?
No, I tried every DNP I did light it on fire.
Because I'd be curious to experiment with it again at an extremely low dose, because there are, and as people know now, there are some. It's an uncoupler, and what is an uncoupling protein? For example, you know how some people have white fat and some people have brown fat. Have you ever heard of this before?
Yes.
So when I had gyno surgery, they removed my gyno, and I was like, "What the?" It showed me it after. I was like, "What the fuck?"
Crazy, huh,
bro? No. I've never mentioned this on the show before, but I've mentioned before, like, I have a lot of brown fat, but I never mentioned to people why I know that. I know because they did the gyno surgery, and I look at it, I'm like, holy shit. I first thought in my mind, like, look how pessimistic I am, bro. My first thought is like, cancer. It's because it's brown. I'm like, what is this fat that's brown, bro? So I go to the doctor. I'm like, what is this? Like, he's like, no, it's fine. This is a good thing. Now, my dumbass at the time, I didn't even know what the brown fat was. He said it's a good thing. I forgot about it.
I heard brown didn't know. Better.
It is better, but I forgot about it. It could have been a bad thing. I didn't know. I just trusted him. Years later, now when I'm like getting into health and stuff, I found out that not many people have that much brown fat. I must have had a high brown fat because I had a lot of adrenaline for so many years. But all of the fat they removed was brown, bro. Everything was dark brown. And there are colors of brown. It goes from white to brown. And it's called the browning of fat. And it happens from a protein called UCP1. It's a gene. And so this gene is an uncoupling protein 1. Now, DNP is also an uncoupling protein. And the uncoupling protein, so there's an element, brown fat basically improves your metabolic function, diabetes, stuff like that. So DNP is looked at sort of analogs of DNP. There are other analogs that are looked at, uncoupling protein things for health reasons, for longevity, stuff like that.